Okay, so last time we talked about warning systems, and we're almost done here. So let's finish up this last video here. But how about engineering? Well, engineering is a way that we mitigate a disaster. Now, mitigation, some people don't understand what that means. That means to lessen the impact of something. So in business, we can lessen the impact of a bankruptcy or something like that, or lessen the impact of a drop in prices or something like that by doing something to be able to absorb that loss, right? Well, earthquake engineering and teaching people, educating people about earthquakes is the #1 ways to mitigate earthquakes. If you educate somebody like we are right now, educating you in a sense about earthquakes, people understand them better, they understand what to do with them, and they can save people's lives by doing such. Well, some of the ways that we can do this through engineering is multiple different ways. First of all, in wooden structures, we can put braces in it to be able to make that structure so it stays together better. And so it doesn't, you want it to be able to flex, but not actually break apart, right? If it breaks apart, then that means the home can start actually falling apart. But if it can flex, but still stay together, then it's going to be a safer material. That's why wooden houses tend to be safer, wood frame houses tend to be safer than brick houses or something like that. Okay. Now buildings, you can see this all the time. Sometimes you'll see big skyscrapers and they have these big crosses in them. Okay. These crosses or beams are there for strength, to make it so that the building itself won't fall apart as it goes through it. And they also do in concrete. They put rebar in the concrete, and the rebar, so if it might break, but it might not fall off the building or fall off into place, and so it will fracture, but it won't kill anybody by falling down on top of them, right? So that's why we do lots of times reinforced rebar inside your masonry. Other things they can do is, for example, in bridges, they might put a suspension system on it, okay, or so that they'll or to prevent from wind, they do that, but they also do it for earthquakes, so it allows the maybe bridge to move back and forth and not break. Okay, you don't want it so rigid that as it moves, it's going to break. You want it to move and then also so it can actually sway back and forth with the waves. You do the same thing for buildings. We have some buildings in Salt Lake area, some really old buildings, that what they did is they got those buildings, they jacked them up and put basically rollers and springs on the bottom of it. So what would happen when you have an earthquake is the whole building just shifts back and forth on kind of like on these rollers, okay, and therefore it actually doesn't break apart, okay. And so, because if the bottom is moving and the top is moving a different direction, the building can start breaking apart. But if the whole building moves with it, then it actually can mitigate the loss of damage associated with it. So there's lots of people who do engineering here to help people to save lives through their design products, right? Now, what should you do if you're in an earthquake? So this is kind of what we're going to talk about now. Is what happens if you are in an earthquake? What should you do? Well, let's go up here. This is something I do in class, and we have a discussion in class about it. I know we can't do a discussion with you today, but we're going to try to do our best here. Okay, so which one of the following is the safest place to be during an earthquake? Under a door frame, under a sturdy desk, in a forested area, in an open field, or in your car. Okay. Now the question is which is the safest area? Now some of these can be more safe than others, but the safest area in this is an open field. And the reason that is the case is because if you're in an open field with no trees, nothing going to fall on you, you're going to go along for the ride, just like that building that's going to sit there on the coasters, right? But nothing's going to fall on you. The buildings are not going to fall on you. Trees are not going to fall on you. You might have cracks in the subsurface, but they're not going to swallow you. That doesn't happen, by the way, because that would require you to have a lot of release of stress, and then the stress comes right back again, right? So it's not that when that happens in the movies, that's not realistic, by the way. So if you're going to have it, you might have a small little fissure here where it might go down a foot or two, but that's about it. So when you're in an earthquake in an open field, you're just going to go along for the ride. So that you probably won't hurt yourself in that. It's probably one of the safer places to be. And well, the safest place to be is up on an airplane somewhere where you won't even feel the impacts. Okay. Now, in a forested area, trees can fall down on top of you, and so you want to get out of that area as soon as you can. If you're inside of a building, you want to get underneath the most sturdiest object. Okay, so for example, here in my office, I'll probably get underneath my desk. The reason is if all the stuff, all the roofing stuff comes down and falls down on top of me, the desk might be able to take some of that blow, and therefore I could be safe underneath that. Now, I might have debris all around me, and I might be trapped inside this building, but I might still be alive because I might be stuck underneath that. Now, if the weight might be too much, though, it might crush my desk, right? So I might die anyways. Well, I have a higher chance of going underneath the desk and living than just sitting out here and just waiting for everything to fall on top of me, right? So you want it to mitigate your losses as much as possible and get under that sturdy desk. Now, door frames could be good too if the door frame is a load-bearing wall. Some door frames you don't know if it's a load-bearing wall. So if you don't know if it's a load-bearing wall, it could just fall down on you just like any other thing above you. So you need to be careful with that. I'd rather go underneath a desk than that door frame that I have in front of me here. Okay. Now, what if I am in a building? What should I do? Should I run outside as soon as I possibly can? A lot of people try that, but it's very dangerous. An earthquake usually occurs or happens for about 30 seconds or so. So you usually don't have time to get out of the building. And during that process of trying to run out of that building, things are going to be falling on you and things like that. It's much better to stick it out. Okay, go underneath that desk or somewhere and go there. That would be a safer road to hoe there. Okay. So what should you do if you go in the building? Get under the sturdy desk would be a good one. Go next to a sturdy desk. That's actually, I put that because that's sometimes a misconception that people have. There's this faulty rumor going out, or urban legend going out, that if you're right next to the desk, if the desk collapses, you'll be smashed. But right next to the desk, if the things fall on it, there'll be this little, what we call, window of life or triangle of life that you can't see what I'm doing here. Okay, triangle of life here. Here's the desk on this side, and all the materials are going to fall down on top of you, forming this little space that will save you. Well, the chances that that's happening that way is lower than the chances of you just going underneath the desk and withstanding the pressure. So it's much safer to go under the desk than to the side to it, of course. So that would be the best one. Standing next to a wall, it depends on the wall. But I'd almost rather be in the middle of the room than on the center, than next to the wall, because the wall could fall down on top of you. Okay? So if you're indoors, this is what you should do. Drop to the ground, take cover, and hold on. Okay? Stay away from glass, windows, outside doors and walls, and anything that could fall on you, like lighting fixtures or furniture. If you're in bed, stay there. Hold on to protect your head with your pillow. You want to protect your vitals, right? Okay. Often, if you're asleep, you're not going to have time to actually to understand you're having an earthquake and try to get underneath the bed. So just hold on, put stuff over top of you, and protect yourself. Use a doorway for shelter only if it's in close proximity to you and there's nothing else nearby you, and try to get a load-bearing door if you can. Stay inside until the shaking stops and until it's safe to go outside. Okay, you want to make sure that nothing's moving until you get out. But once the earthquake stops, absolutely try to get out of that building. Okay, if the electricity is out or fire systems are on, may turn on, just be careful of that and don't use the elevators because they could fail. If you're outdoors, stay there. Get away from buildings, street lights, trees, anything you can. Get it out in the open as much as you can. And then stay there until the shaking stops. If you're in a moving vehicle, stop. Don't keep driving. Stop. Wait for the shaking to be done, and then proceed with caution, because things might be falling down on the roadway and stuff like that. Okay, guys, that is it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something this time. I'll talk to you later.